Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's event on the topic Estate Planning Workshop for Immigrants. This event is being hosted in collaboration with the DC Affordable Law Firm. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to do a quick welcome before I bring our guests to come to start us strong with this workshop. Just for those who have the opportunity to join us for the very first time, I want to do an overview of the Nigerian Center, talk about opportunities to get involved in our work. I'm just going to give you a much more fuller understanding of what organization it's all about. So welcome to the Nigerian Center. Today's workshop is Estate Planning Workshop for Immigrants. And it's going to be presented by DC Affordable Law Firm. You will also be hearing from Nigerian Center Immigration Attorney, who is going to be giving an overview of Nigerian Center Immigration Services, as well as our immigration walk-in clinic in Washington, D.C. So about the Nigerian Center, we are a cultural immigrant center for the Nigerian American community. While we are called the Nigerian Center, we serve all groups. We serve everyone that comes through our doors. Our mission is to foster financial inclusion and social justice opportunities, providing access or connection to the Nigerian culture in America. We know that Nigerian American community is one of the largest in the country. Up until now, we didn't have our own community center where folks can walk into to support the American journey, but we have one now. So to undergird this mission, we have identified a few areas of asset building. Number one is immigration. The United States is a land of opportunities, but without immigration, it is impossible to really participate in the American dream. So we provide immigration workshops, such as this New York Ride workshops. We also have a walk-in immigration clinic in Washington, D.C., and also virtual programs. Most recently, we started to do advocacy and policy work, advocating for immigration policy reform that directly affects our community, and just be the voice to kind of amplify the voice of our community as far as immigration justice is concerned. Aside from immigration programs, we also have financial program. We provide micro-lending capital, funding opportunities to startup entrepreneurs and new immigrants, regardless of the immigration status, whether it is credit building loans, business capital loans, we make that available. So if you go to our business page on our website, you can get more information about that. We do home ownership programs as well as cultural programs. We have language classes, Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, and we also have cultural programs in general, introducing folks to the Nigerian culture. Okay. Our upcoming events, you'll be getting more information shortly. We've been receiving inquiries about our upcoming language classes. We should be announcing those shortly. But our next workshop regarding immigration rights is going to be on tenants and landlord rights in the District of Columbia. So stay tuned for more information about that. So how do you get involved in the work that we do? The first is you can do a catching up of our various immigration workshops that we've provided, workshops in general. So all our videos are available on YouTube. If you go to Nigerian Center Media, you'll be able to access the recording and the video recording of our previous workshops. In about 24 hours, this video of tonight's workshop is going to be on our website as well. Volunteer opportunities. Please reach out to the Nigerian Center for volunteer opportunities. We do have some positions listed on our website. If none of those directly apply to you, do not give up. Send us an email. And if you don't hear back from us immediately, do not give up. Call us on the phone, send an email again. Um, we definitely have opportunities for volunteering for the work that we do. We do have a communities partners network. So these are community leaders in the community serving um, immigrant communities. You may be a business leader, a nonprofit leader, media, finance, policy, however you have touch points with immigrant communities. We really want to hear from you to be a conduit to your community to let us know how we can better serve. We do have quarterly community partners meeting. You can sign up to become a community partner online. Let me also announce that we also are now taking speaking opportunities. So if you're subject matter experts, there's any particular interest of speaking opportunity, topic that you want to provide or present, there's a form on our website under Get Involved. Please fill that as well. If you're not following us on social media, please do that today. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. Join us on social media. On some platforms, we are the Nigerian Center, and some platforms we are just Nigerian Center. You can follow us today. Donations. You can also donate to the work that we do. We are a volunteer-led team. So your donations help us to stay afloat. If you're not a donor to the Nigerian Center, please, a lot of people think about donation and think about thousands and millions of dollars. Even $1 can make a difference. And you should all be a part of Nigerian Center Donor Network. If you can consider to become a recurring donor, even fantastic. We really, really appreciate that. And that will go a long way to serve the community. Okay, that said, I am pleased and excited to invite to the microphone and video Gabby and team members for tonight's event from the DC Affordable Law Firm to speak to us about the topic, estate planning for immigrants. Please come to the microphone. I'll turn it over to you. And I'll stop sharing my screen so you can share yours.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Benga. It's great to join and be a part of sharing with your community. Everyone, I am Gabby Molnick-Majewski. I am the Executive Director of DC Affordable Law Firm, the central legal services organization here in the District of Columbia that's catering to the needs of hardworking Washingtonians from modest income households and other individuals who can't access legal services elsewhere. I am joined today by Samuel Wilkins, my colleague and a supervising attorney with our organization. Samuel runs our estate administration, probate, and estate planning practice. And he's going to join me in this presentation and offer specific guidance and information about what estate planning can do for you. I do want to just thank both Benga and Jamoke for coordinating our involvement in this opportunity today. Benga and I had the opportunity to speak, I think, in the very early days of the Nigerian Center last year, and it's great to see the growth and the community that is being formed here with so many folks coming out and engaging with the center. So we are happy to be a part of providing information, and certainly we'll share more about how, if you are interested in estate planning, you can be a part of seeking our legal services thereafter. We are particularly excited just to talk today about estate planning, because conversations about estate planning in general don't happen often enough. And what we have found through many clients and through many stories that we have heard is that it isn't a conversation that happens in that proactive estate planning doesn't happen often enough, or people think that because they don't have millions and millions of dollars, that it's not something that is made for them. And what we are here to do today is empower you with information that you can use now or into the future, and pass along to others in your family, in your community, and your loved ones, to be able to just know what your options are, and in hopes that you will be able to do that so that you can protect the assets and property and things that you care about most. And so with that, I'm going to breeze ahead. I'm going to offer just some quick overview of DC Affordable Law Firm and who we are and what we do, and then turn it over to Samuel for the nuts and bolts of our estate planning presentation. So with that, and I think we can go to the next slide, Samuel. DC Affordable Law Firm, just in a high level, we are often called DCALF, and we are an organization where at our core, what we believe is that everyone deserves access to justice, and that income should never be a barrier to a family or an individual's receipt of high quality legal education. The truth is that before DCALF's creation in 2015, people who are of modest income living in the district had nowhere to go for their legal services. They often did not qualify for representation from many of the legal aid organizations that exist in the city. And the only alternative was to pay for pricey private representation, which can be really expensive, and so expensive that it's not accessible. So we are an organization that was created to bridge that gap and offer a range of free, so no cost and low cost legal services in our 3 practice areas. We have now an 18-person legal team. We have incoming lawyers who join our organization each year. And to date, we've served more than 1,500 individuals across 2,100 legal matters. And we continue to grow and expand our impact and our community reach. If we want to hop to the next slide, and I should say we offer a unique fellowship training program where at the same time we are delivering a critical legal service. We are also expanding the network of public interest attorneys in DC as we serve as a launching pad for careers of folks going into public interest legal practice. Just to kind of highlight the need and who we are serving, in DC, 1 out of 5 DC residents falls into this forgotten middle in legal services, where DC Affordable Law Firm is, quite frankly, the central legal services organization catering to individuals' needs. When we look at who we are serving within our organization and for our estate planning practice and probate practice, we're serving individuals who are in households that range from 200 to 400% of the federal poverty level. So these are folks who don't qualify for the traditional free legal services, even though we are offering many of our services for free for qualifying individuals. And just to kind of underscore what that looks like, and so you can think about the math, we have up on our website, and I'll put the link in the chat, www.dcaffordableLaw.org. We have listed within our fee section the federal guidelines that show for each household size the corresponding income ranges of individuals that we are able to serve. But if you are someone who you're a single parent with 1 child living in the district and earn between $39,000 and just under $79,000 a year, we may be the right organization for you. And so we'll fast forward to our next slide, Samuel. But we step in to provide representation resources. At most, individuals will pay $200 for a consultation with DCALF attorneys, though we are able to serve many individuals for free, and that depends on household size, income level, and residency. And we cater, we provide holistic and individualized services. So based on a client's legal needs and representation goals and our thoughtful review of claims and avenues for relief, we are able to work with clients to come up with arrangements and representation scopes that work for you, because at the end of the day, our clients are the ones who are at the core of the legal representation. And so we center ourselves on providing accessible options that will serve your needs. So with the next slide, we just to highlight what we do, we practice in 3 areas, though we're going to focus on our estate planning work today. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the whole breadth of what we do. So we provide representation in family law, in immigration, and probate and estate planning. For family law, and in all of these practice areas, many folks appear routinely without lawyers, and they can be incredibly complicated matters to navigate without legal representation. So in our family law practice, we are centered on custody, divorce, annulment, child support, and legal separation, and advocating for or defending against alimony. In our immigration practice, we are doing work that includes asylum, SIJS, special immigrant juvenile status, adjustment of status, so green cards and green card renewals, EADs, which are employment authorization documents, and some U visas. And then I'll let Samuel take it over in talking about our probate and estate planning. But before I do that, I just want to note that in the District of Columbia, 97% of people appear in probate court without lawyers. And so it is a real area of need, and there are very few organizations, legal services organizations, doing work in this realm. And proactive estate planning can certainly help minimize the pain that often comes with the probate process. And the next slide that Samuel turned to was just to say that in our family law practice, we do offer 2 different options to access representation for family law. So we provide representation to folks who are in a modest income range, but also we operate in conjunction with 2 other legal services organizations, the Family Law Assistance Network, where we are providing rapid response family law assistance to individuals from lower income households in the district. And so with that, and there are different hours of operation there, so we'll highlight that at the end, and I will also put our website into the chat so you can poke around on your own and learn more. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Samuel to walk us through estate planning.
Wonderful. Well, first, I want to thank you all for welcoming us. I'm so excited to be with you all here today talking about this incredibly important issue. What is estate planning? Estate planning is the process by which an individual or family arranges the transfer of assets in anticipation of death or incapacity. So through the estate planning process, we work with individuals who are planning for their future. And as part of that, we work with them to help them think about what they want to happen to their belongings after they die. And we also help them think about what they want to happen if they are to become incapacitated. And again, incapacitated might mean being in a coma. It could mean having an illness like Alzheimer's or dementia that prevents one from being able to make decisions for themselves or something like that. Our goal here today is to provide a very basic understanding of the estate planning process and why it is so important to have an estate plan. So according to a Gallup poll from 2021, less than half of US citizens have a will. Further, according to another study, only 1/3 of Americans have a healthcare power of attorney. And not having a will or a power of attorney prevents you from taking charge of what happens after your death and upon your incapacity. And it also creates challenges for loved ones if your desires are not clearly planned out. So one of the primary goals today is to empower you all with the information on estate planning so you can create a process where your wishes can be outlined and then ultimately honored. Most individuals from modest and lower income households don't have estate plans. And as Gabby mentioned, estate planning is crucial for everyone, not just millionaires or trillionaires. Everyone has an idea of how they want to be cared for in the event that they become incapacitated, or how they want their belongings to be divided after they die. And everyone deserves to have those desires protected and honored. So, as I'll discuss throughout the course of the presentation, there's many reasons why estate planning is crucial, but there's two key ones. The first one is it helps you take control of what happens after your death or upon your incapacity. And the second one is that it limits the burdens on legal heirs who you are going through the legal process to transfer your possessions. So when we're talking about estate planning and kind of planning for the future, there's going to be two types of things that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about planning for incapacity, and we're going to be talking about planning for death. Planning for incapacity will primarily talk about financial power of attorneys and healthcare power of attorneys. And in planning for death, we're going to primarily be discussing wills. So with a financial power of attorney, the first document we're going to talk about, you can name someone to help manage your finances and make financial decisions for you when you can't do so for yourself. So again, that might be if you are in a coma, or if you have a stroke, or if you are suffering from a disease like Alzheimer's or dementia that prevents you from being able to identify and articulate your desires. So in a situation where you don't have the capacity to do so, you can name someone to help you, withdraw money from your bank account so they can help you with your needs, like groceries. You could name someone to help communicate with third parties to help ensure that if you get Medicaid, if you get Medicare, if you get retirement benefits, to make sure that you're in receipt of what you're entitled to and that money is being used to benefit you in the way it was designed to do so. The person can also talk to credit card companies or talk to anyone who is sending you bills to make sure that late fees don't start piling up in a way that kind of takes away your the money that you end up working so hard to get. So, a common situation I actually see with a lot of our clients is, individuals might go to the bank with a loved one and then withdraw funds from the bank with the loved one. And then the loved one, maybe a sister or a daughter, might use those funds to then pay for groceries or then to kind of pay for kind of the basic necessities. That's a really workable system. But once an individual becomes incapacitated, the daughter who's used to accompanying that individual to the bank to get that money will no longer be able to get that money to take care of the individual they were taking care of. That is why a financial power of attorney can be so helpful, because in that you name the individual who then can go to the bank, get that cash to help you for the groceries, or can communicate with the people that you want them to communicate with. I one time had a potential client come to my office and say, Samuel, my mother has a late stages Alzheimer's, and I've been helping her for the last 5 years. And we're at a point now where she can't pretty much take care of herself at all. I want to go to the bank. I want to help her out. Can you execute a healthcare power of attorney for my mother so I can help her in this difficult situation, so I can take care of her? I really want to take care of her. And unfortunately, the answer to her was, no, I cannot execute a healthcare power of attorney at this moment because your mother doesn't have the capacity to execute that. There's another process called a conservator, which is a little bit more financially burdensome and takes more time. So there is a possibility to kind of help her out, but it is so much more difficult than a financial power of attorney, which could have, addressed the need at the very beginning. The second type of power of attorney I want to mention is a healthcare power of attorney. And with a healthcare power of attorney, you can choose someone you trust to make healthcare decisions when you are unable to do them for yourselves. So this person you choose can decide what treatment options you might want, can decide what surgeries might make sense in your situation, can decide whether a nursing home might make sense in this situation, Again, they can make decisions for you with respect to healthcare when you can't make those decisions for yourself. Alongside the healthcare power of attorney, some clients also add on what's called a living will. And a living will is a list of directives or a list of instructions of what you want to happen during the end of your life, and whether you want certain extreme measures to be taken, or maybe if you don't want extreme measures to be taken. I had another potential client come to me who said, Samuel, my best friend was going in for a routine surgery and ended up in a coma. She's estranged from her mother, and her mom's trying to make these decisions for her health care, but she doesn't know what she wants. I know what she wants. I know that my friend would want me to make those decisions for her. What can we do? And the unfortunate thing in her situation is, if she would have gotten that healthcare, if the friend who is incapacitated could have gotten that healthcare power of attorney on the front end, naming the friend, there would be no problem, and the friend would be able to honor her friend's wishes and be able to make those decisions for her friend, and act in her interest. So again, that is why healthcare power of attorneys are so crucial. The third document that I just want to briefly mention is a custodial power of attorney. Now, this type of power of attorney deals with who can care for children in the event you become incapacitated, but also if you go away on a long trip or are unable to care for your child for any number of reasons. This can also be a helpful document if you have a loved one who helps a lot with your child, and you want to make that caretaker have authority to make decisions for your child. An example where this might be particularly useful is, say you live in DC, but need to return to Nigeria to care for an ailing family member, but you want your kid to stay in DC while you take that trip. You decide to have them stay with your sister, and you want your sister to do some of the things that a parent would do or that you would do in your absence. Through this custodial power of attorney, you can give your sister the authorization to enroll the kid in camp, to take the kids to doctor's appointments, to have them have access to your kids' health records, to consent to emergency medical care. All those key things in your absence, you can have that individual that you name who steps in your shoes in that moment to make those decisions. So those were the three planning for incapacity documents: a financial power of attorney, where someone can stand in your shoes for financial decisions; a healthcare power of attorney, where someone can step into your shoes for healthcare and medical decisions; and then a custodial power of attorney, where someone can step in your shoes for making parental decisions or decisions with respect to a child. I'm now going to talk about planning for death. And the key document here is a will, which is a legal document that outlines how you want your belongings to be distributed after you die. So in this document, in the will, you can name your belongings that are meaningful to you. Maybe it's a watch. Maybe it's a special plate or a bowl that has been passed down in your family. You get to name those items that mean a lot to you, your possessions, your belongings, and identify where you want them to go after you die. I did briefly just want to name a trust, because that is another document that can help transfer belongings after you die. And it's important for you to talk to your attorney to determine when a will might be useful or when a trust might be useful to transfer your belongings after you die. So I've been harping on the importance of proactive planning throughout this entire presentation. Why are wills and trusts so important? Well, the first thing is that wills and trusts allow you to be in control of where your hard-earned and meaningful belongings go after you die. As we've been sharing, you don't have to have $1 million for wills to be useful. Say you have an important ring that you really want your daughter to have, or a book of photos that you really want your sister to have, Or maybe you want to give $25 to a church that has really meant a lot to you, or to a cause that really means a lot to you. A will can outline all of these things that you want to happen, specify them, and make sure that they are honored and happen after you die. Wills are also important because they can let your family know your wishes, which will hopefully reduce confusion, guesswork, and reduce disagreements. In addition to the planning portion of estate planning, DCALF and I also handle the estate administration portion, where we help individuals transfer the belongings from the person who died to the people that are entitled to the belongings. And we've seen a lot of arguments. We've seen a lot of fighting that wastes a lot of money for the estate, and causes a lot of sadness in the family. And being able to specify, this is who I want to have these things, is so helpful to avoid disagreements and arguments. The last important, well, there's many things, but another and the final thing I will mention is that wills can also be written to make the process so much easier for the person going through it. That estate administration process I talked about, where a person is required to go through the probate court to transfer the belongings from you after you die to the people who are entitled to them, or who you name in the will, or who are specified in the statute. There are certain things in the statute, in DC law, that can be complicated and confusing. And if you specify what you want in the will, it can make the process so much easier for the individuals going through that process after you die. Additionally, as I mentioned, for the power of attorneys, they are special documents because they allow your trusted loved ones to speak for you when you can't, and help you when you can't help yourself. You are able to identify people that you want to step into your shoes, who you say, I know that they're going to do what's right by me. In this situation when I'm vulnerable, in this situation when I need someone to look after me, these people will do right by me. And that is the power and the beauty of the power of attorney instruments. So we will open it up for questions after, and I know if Gabby has anything additionally that she wants to share about just DCALF institutionally, but DCALF is open for intakes the last week of each month, and we would really encourage you all. We are incredibly passionate about this work, and we love working with individuals in the DC community, and we would just encourage you all to the extent you're interested, to sign up for a consultation. And again, a lot of so much of this is customizable and tailored to your respective needs and desires. And the best way to have these documents drafted and tailored for you is to speak with an attorney and work with an attorney to have what your wishes are written down, so they can then be honored at your death or upon your incapacity.
Samuel, I want to lift up for you some questions that we've gotten. So Benga asked within here, can you include people living abroad who are non-US citizens in a will?
So the first thing I want to mention is there are some very complicated issues at play with that when it comes to taxes, when it comes to property that you're planning on distributing. So I don't want to go. I don't want to go too specifically into details with that. Instead of just say it is definitely consideration. There are definitely things that you should think about and identify what you want to happen with an attorney, and then what the attorney will do is they'll work with you to get your wishes as closely happening as possible. So I don't want to, there's so many specifics there and so many implications. I don't want to kind of overcommit to an answer, but it's a very good question, and something that attorneys would really like to work with you on to make sure that it's structured in a way that's best for you.
We also received another question about who we are able to serve through DC Affordable Law Firm. And just to say that as an organization, our attorneys are barred in the District of Columbia, and we, through our mission, are focused on serving DC residents or individuals who live outside of the district who have DC legal matters. So for instance, if you have a loved one who lives in the District of Columbia and they die without an estate plan in place, we would represent someone who lives outside of the district and is probating the estate of someone who passed away in DC. So that is one caveat. We also handle family law matters on occasion where someone may live outside of DC, but the case is being heard in DC courts. And Samuel, perhaps you could talk just briefly about things that someone might want to think about in advance if they were coming to speak with a lawyer and interested in doing any estate planning.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that the key thing to think about when you're planning ahead of time is what key possessions or belongings do you have that you are thinking about transferring. And again, it is the a lot of people just identify things that are incredibly meaningful to them, whether it's a watch, whether it's a ring, whether it's a book of photographs, any things that you want to directly name to an individual because of the sentimental value. That is a key thing to think about. It's also helpful to have the trusted individuals in mind. The person you name for making decisions for your healthcare might be someone that is different than the person who you name to make decisions about your finances, right? They're different requirements that require different strengths, and so some people might just choose the same person, but you want to make sure that the people you choose are the people that you trust, and kind of think about that. We've had some clients who come to us and say, "Yeah, oh, that's hard. I don't know exactly who I want yet. I want to think about it," and that's totally fine. But it's helpful to think about those things too. And then I think just generally, if there's anything, if there are certain people that you want to give, again, certain like charities or certain churches or anything that you want to, anything that people you want to give certain donations to, that's also helpful, because a lot of people, the majority of their belongings, they want to end up giving to their children or give to a friend. But there are always people who might say, this cause means a lot. I had my mom died of breast cancer, so I really want to give a little bit of money to the American Cancer Society or something like that, or this church really meant a lot to me. That's something to name. And then one thing that people can also identify is burial preferences, whether you want to be buried or cremated, where you want that to happen, what you want your funeral service to look like. Those are things that people can actually specify in a will, and it's very empowering for a lot of our clients to be able to say, this is what we want to happen, and can feel confident and comfortable that their wishes will be honored. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. So with respect to trusts, that is something that, again, trusts are incredibly situation specific. And at DCAF, we actually don't do much work with trusts. We mostly focus on wills. So if there are specific questions about trusts and kind of the benefits and how they might happen on the ground, that would be something that we would encourage you to talk with an attorney about, with specifics instead of more of a general presentation. But the question that was asked, the irrevocable trust when transferring real estate properties to family members, is an incredibly important question, but one in this general presentation, it makes more sense to kind of talk with specifics. And then, are video wills valid in DC? And I'm sorry, by video wills, is that like the signing through video? Is that what the question is?
Perhaps I can come to audio. Um, is it considered a will if you state your wishes as far as how
Oh,
you property? Can you do that over video? Would that be valid in court and things like that?
That's a spectacular question. Yeah, so there are certain requirements about in DC about wills, and one of the requirements is that it be written down, and it has to be signed by the individual in the presence of two witnesses. So there are some jurisdictions that allow verbal wills or oral wills. DC is not one of those jurisdictions. So for a will to be honored, it actually needs to be written down, or it could be typed with a signet with the individual signature and two witnesses who observe each other signing, and also observe the testator, the person who is drafting the will, sign the will.
Oh, thank you. Are there any other
Thank you.
questions?
That was a great question. Yeah, thank you so much.
Please, you can unmute or you can chat your questions. Okay. Any questions?
And Benga, what I would just say, and for everyone here, is estate planning is, though the process can be relatively simple, there are often many individualized considerations, and having those dialogues and conversations and really presenting your individual circumstances is best. So though this was designed to provide general information, it's certainly not a substitute for one-on-one legal advice that's specific to your factual situation. So just to say, we are open for intake the last full week of every month. If you are interested in seeking a consultation or engaging in estate planning work with us, our intake portal is online to conduct a client intake. It's pretty visible and easy to see. You can walk through and do that, and an attorney would contact you within a week to get that scheduled and go from there. But our goal here is really to just empower folks with information and plant seeds in hopes that whether it's now or sometime into the future, you and your loved ones will consider these important planning documents for yourself and your loved ones. And Melvin, do you have a question in coming on video?
No.
Okay. Great to see you.
Yeah, so Melvin's actually presenting as well. But we always want to thank you both, Gabby and Samuel, for the presentation. I should echo that DC Affordable Law Firm, and Gabby was one of the very first people I spoke with at the section of the Nigerian Center, and it's so glad to see this and to also engage in this capacity. So thanks for your support and your continued support. Okay, so please feel free to put your contact information in the chat so folks can reach out as well.
Yes, and I'll add that one more time in there, and we will plan to hop off thereafter, but please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you so much, Benga. It's great to see the Nigerian Center's success, and we look forward to many more opportunities to work with one another.
Excellent.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. At this point, I want to turn it over to Attorney Marvin to give us an overview about Nigerian Center Immigration Services and just overall immigration needs or facts or issues that we should consider, whether it's relating to estate planning or just in general. So Attorney Marvin, over to you.
All right, thank you, Benga, and I want to thank Gabby and Samuel for the great presentation from DC Affordable Law Firm. That was a lot of important information, and I just want to highlight a few points that you guys made. You talked about wills, and all the different tools that somebody can use in estate planning. And those are all very important. So some of the important things to keep in mind when you're doing some of this, a lot of people try to do these things on their own, but these are some of the good reasons why you need to seek out an attorney or seek out DC Affordable or even stop by the Nigerian Center, and we can answer some of these questions, things related to whether or not a will is valid. To have a valid will, as Samuel was saying, with the trust and all those other components, you could have signature requirements, whether or not you need two witnesses or you need one, whether or not the document has to be signed in the presence of the testator, or whether or not it has to be signed by the witnesses, or whether or not it has to be signed by the witnesses in the presence of the testator, or the other way around. Sorry about that. So these are a lot of little intricate nuances that deal with things like wills and estates and planning that are good reasons to seek an attorney. Other questions that can come up have to do with U.S. estates and taxes and non-citizens. So you want to seek an attorney, like Gabby said, and get some of those answers. Sit down and have that one-on-one conversation, and let them know exactly what's going on. The one thing that I notice in some of the clinics when people come in is they come in for immigration, but a lot of the people that come in also own businesses here in the US, or they own businesses in Nigeria. They have family members here and there that, you know, are elderly. So, but they don't really think about the estate planning part of it. But those are some of the things that we can help you with at the Nigerian Center. And me, myself, I'm not an estate planning expert, but I do work with attorneys at my office in Virginia and at my office in DC. And we have great organizations, other firms like the DC Affordable Law Firm that we can refer you to. But we can always answer your basic questions. One thing to always do, if you're coming in with a question, like let's say you have a question about a will, bring the will in. You know, we can sit there. We have myself, I'm a licensed attorney. We will always have volunteer licensed attorneys, and sometimes other attorneys that are not licensed. I mean, that are not volunteers, but are licensed, that may be able to answer your questions right there. So those are all good reasons to stop by the Nigerian Center or seek an attorney when you have estate planning question or an immigration question. The one important thing that people also don't realize is that non-immigrants, even undocumented, have rights in the US when it comes to inheritance and things like that. So a lot of people don't realize, they think, okay, because I'm undocumented or because I'm not a US citizen, I don't have a right to inherit from somebody who is a US citizen, or, you know, but you actually do. So Benga, I think that's all that I have. I really want to thank DC Affordable Law Firm for doing this great presentation, and we hope to continue working with you guys.
Melvin, for the benefit of those who are just joining, just want to go through once again about the Nigerian Center and opportunities to get involved. 24 hours from now, this video will be on our on-demand page on our website, and it's also including all the previous videos of our workshops. Oftentimes when folks call the intake line for the clinic, we do refer them to this page because, for example, we've done entire treatment on family-based immigration. We've done the professional-based immigration. We've gone through the entire spectrum of EB1 to EB5 visas. All this video are on the website. We've also done humanitarian-based, whether it's asylum, even TPS. So all of these resources are on the website. It's not just limited to immigration, credit workshop, real estate, our NC talks. So please go there to get caught up. Sign up to our YouTube channel. These videos are also available as well on those platforms. Volunteer opportunities, feel free to reach out to the Nigerian Center if you want to support our efforts. We have some listed positions, but if you're not nothing applies to you, still email and call to see how you can volunteer at the center. We have a community partners network. These are community leaders. We have quarterly meetings where we go through our programs, so you can connect us further to your community and tell us how we can better improve our program to serve your community. If you're not following us on social media, please do so on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. You can go through handle is The Nigerian Center or Nigerian Center. Our donations. If you're not a Nigerian Center donor, please consider becoming one today. Events like this is brought to you with generous donations, like people like you. We also want to ask to consider becoming a recurring donor. On our website, the website is nigeriancenter.org/donate. You can click a button that says recurring donations, and you can go in to stop it at any time that you choose. But your support is going to go a long way. We are 501c3, so all donations are tax deductible. So that is it all for today. We want to thank you for tuning in and joining us today, and we'll look forward to staying in touch with you. Bye for now. Thank you, everyone.